Thank you for watching Amir Shakil 5858. I am Amir Budnam. Following are the news which have been reported by American, European, Asian and Canadian channels. African channels and news agencies have reported the same news. Agencies are AFP, AP and Reuters. I am thankful to all news resources. Now the headlines. Retired people in America are facing difficulties. UN report says 20% food go waste. Pollution causing great problems to many. Rescue efforts are continued in Taiwan. American Treasury Secretary met counterpart in China. Shooting in Miami, Florida. Negotiation for ceasefire in Gaza are continued. Iran retaliation is imminent. Russian drone attacks on Ukraine cities. Bird flu is spreading. Carbon tax in Canada. Opioid deaths in Canada. A storm causing problem in central USA. Fear of aftershocks in New England, USA. Now the news in detail.
That's usually a big no-no, but not when the host of Making Money, Charles Payne on Fox Business is here. Crowd goes wild. My man, Charles Payne. It is time to go off the meter. Watch this. All right, so here we go, and this is what we need to know first. I'm obsessed with Spider-Man moments. What I mean is, you know how Spider-Man was bit by a radioactive spider that turned him into I Want to Be Spider-Man?
Right.
What made you want to be the business mogul that you are?
Poverty.
You got.
I was bitten by a roach. Like, I got to get the hell out of here.
It's starting to hurt.
Oh, no, I tell you what, I'd rather have roach skills than Spider-Man spider skills.
Yeah.
You know, they're not a great,
Think about this.
superhero.
Yeah, Spider-Man gets replaced by a new Spider-Man like every 2 years.
Yeah.
If you've got roaches, they're sticking around.
Exactly.
There's no Tobey Maguire roach followed by a Tom Holland roach. There's just one guy. That's amazing. Let me ask you this.
All right.
Charles Payne runs for president and wins. Okay. Who plays the inauguration?
Oh, boy. We get a nice mix. I get some definitely Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Okay. Ooh, yeah, you would.
You got to get Earth.
Because you want a crowded dance floor.
Yeah.
I respect that. Okay.
Stevie Wonder, even though he's a Democrat.
But I dig that because he's not going to criticize your wardrobe.
No.
Boom.
he may be upset with the platform, but that's... just a smattering of other folks, but...
I love that.
I would say Willie Nelson, but I don't know if he's still performing. If he is, I'd love to get Willie.
Well, I will put it this way. He is performing. And, if everybody's trying to take the edge off after the intensity of the inauguration, he's probably your guy. Okay.
It's early enough. It's before the inauguration.
Yeah, you won't be nervous for the speech?
Look at Willie and Snoop. The crowd is like, it's the coolest inauguration ever. Who won?
President Charles Payne just said they faked the moon landing. Nobody saw that coming. This is crazy. What is your favorite sports moment?
My first touchdown.
Oh, get out of here.
Yeah. Pop Warner. Kickoff. The guy fumbled the ball. He grabbed it. I ran. But I had a rough father. My father was in the military.
Okay.
So at halftime, I'm running up. Daddy, did you see it? Why'd you keep looking back? Man, this is a rough dude. It's my first touchdown, my man.
This is all I got.
So that's why he therapy now.
I love that. So let me ask you this then, because your father was strict, you probably didn't do an end zone celebration, or did you spike?
No end zone celebration.
Okay.
I scored a lot of touchdowns growing up in no end zone. I just handed the ball to the ref.
Because you played the game with class.
Yeah.
No, I respect that.
I wanted to. Billy White Shoes Johnson, man. But Pop didn't play that, so.
I owe you big for that reference, because I've sometimes made that defending my wardrobe choices on the air, and I just get shoved out of the room. Next time I'm in trouble, I'm calling you. Jimmy White Shoes Johnson, what position did you play?
Wide receiver.
Did you now?
ACS.
No, I know, because I was a jockey, so I get it. I rode glue stick in the Kentucky Derby. It was great. How's your karaoke game?
It's okay. It used to be a 9. I'm probably down to a 7.5. It's just starting to get a little fade a little bit as you get older.
Okay. You're just drinking less. That's what you're telling me. And we respect that. Okay, personal question. Everybody cover your ears. Is Stuart Varney faking the accent?
No, he's not. And I'm a little jealous because, I grew up with a sort of a speech impediment. I'm over it for the most part, but I'm terrible with names. And of course, we live in this global world.
Yeah.
Coming up, it was all Smith Jones, and now it's like names with like 15 syllables. Now, Stuart, though, can say it and mess him up.
Yep.
But he says it's so nice that people sometimes change their name to the way Stuart pronounces it. And I'm next to it, so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. They're like, he called it Dad like Dad. Let's change my name.
He just went with it.
Yeah.
Is there one place in the world everybody watching should visit?
Right now, I've got 37 libraries around the world I want to go to, beginning with Trinity Library. So I'm not sure. It's hard to pinpoint. There's so many amazing, wonderful places on this planet that I think you should try to. Don't pin yourself down.
But the difference between your finances and mine is.
Well, if that's the case. They got a sweet spot in the Bronx.
I might buy weed behind the library, but I don't know. Charles Payne, you're the man. You're big, my man. Great Charles Payne, everybody. There it is. Boom! There it is. Welcome back to Fox News Saturday Night with me, Jimmy Fallon. How about it? California has a new fast food minimum wage law, which means workers will be starting at $20 an hour. The good news for them, everybody's getting a raise. The bad news, restaurants probably going to close. And if it does stay open, we're all paying a lot more for our food. The panel is back. Jenny Fallon, Kevin Walling, and Corinne Fisher. And I just want you again to appreciate the fact that I had my wife on tonight. Why? Because as New Yorkers, okay, someone could be squatting in our house right now, and neither of us could get back in when we go home. So admire my commitment, America, to the program.
You better lock those doors right now.
Forget about it. Now,
Kick those party people
Lincoln is
out.
currently paying 2 strippers to leave. You know how rowdy our house is, right? If you're in 10th grade and your parents are on TV, I don't even want to know what's going on.
I don't want to know either.
But let's talk about this. And I don't really want to get into the analytics of the minimum wage law because we're trying to keep people from changing the channel because they hear it all week during the show. But we do know there's a yin and a yang, which is you want to pay more, but sadly costs will go up for the people who shop at fast food restaurants because they're cheap, and of course places will close.
Totally.
That being said, we all have some kind of a relationship to the story because we've had these types of jobs. What was your first? I don't know this. What was your first entry level job?
I worked at a car wash.
Is it
I mean, beyond babysitting. But yeah, I worked at a car wash. Yep.
And wash cars?
No, I was the person that would have to like refill. It was like the self-serve car wash, but I'd have to like clean the parking lot and do all that and watch the quarter machine.
Is that true?
Yeah.
You were the quarter machine girl?
I was.
Wow, you've come a long way. There and then Peatland where we met.
Right.
With the quarter machine. I'll give her credit. I disrespected you.
You did.
I disrespected you. You were not a quarter stripper. No, you were not. Walling, what was your big Democrat elitist entry level?
I worked at a bookstore.
You did?
Yeah. And growing up, yeah.
Ooh, and was that like, what did you do? Were you
as a Democrat, I didn't burn any books. Let's be clear.
Sure you did.
I sold them. Didn't ban anything or burn anything. Just sold it.
Okay, fair. Corinne, entry level gig for you.
Victoria's Secret, but it was. Thank you.
Angel.
Give it up for one pervert in the camera crew. That's amazing. A guy just wooed. Security. That's amazing.
Just recognized Corinne from the magazine.
Anyway.
No, but it was the beauty part, not the lingerie.
Okay.
So yeah, they only let me sell lip gloss. So I'm sorry, guys.
So is that why you're always in lingerie on Instagram?
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm just like, oh, the moment passed me.
Making up for loss.
I almost couldn't hear you over the cameraman's ankle bracelet. Forgive me.
It's beeping now. Something's beeping.
That was unbelievable stuff. This is my.
What was your first job?
My very first entry. My first.
Like growing up as a kid.
I sold rare coins that were so rare. The people who bought them never got them in the mail. I'm not kidding.
Is this true?
Yes. When I was in high school, I got a job selling rare coins. My first day, we're on the phone selling rare coins. My second day, the woman was taking a perp walk out of the place in handcuffs, and me and my buddy Big Lou Perone, who had gotten me the job, were like, I guess we're not getting paid this weekend. I don't know. It was amazing. So my first job lasted 2 days, but I had a series of telemarketing jobs, and I learned how to build a yes staircase. Do you guys know that about telemarketing? So back in the day, a yes staircase is you ask a series of questions they'll say yes to. So they get so used to saying yes to you when it's time to close, they can't say no. We're married 20 years. There it is.
And that's your guest for the show.
The problem is we met at one of my stand-up sets. I was like, did you like the show? She was like, no. I'm like, all right, let's start over. How's it going? Next topic, let me read this, okay? These next folks know a thing or two about fast food. According to a study from Wallet Hub, the unhealthiest city in America is Brownsville, Texas. Following Brownsville in the top 5 are Gulfport, Mississippi, Laredo, Texas, Columbus, Georgia, and Shreveport, Louisiana. In other words, the South is here for a good time, not for a long time. So is health and fitness underrated? I'll come to you, girlfriend. We're actually married. This is weird. Yeah, I know.
She's more my girlfriend now.
Yeah, you guys are.
You got the marriage.
Listen, I just want to learn it off.
Yeah. I'll give it to you.
Will you?
I'll give you the weekend.
Kevin Wally, a true swing voter in every sense of the word.
Always.
Every sense of the word.
Yeah.
Were you the ones who got them a flamingo in their garden? Anyway, stick with me. The question was, do we have different definitions of health?
When I?
No. I just mean when you hear these lists, like they make the list, they're like, well, there's a lot of green spaces. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, I know the South has a connotation for eating more barbecue and stuff. I like.
Yeah.
Okay. But I don't think we all measure health the same way. What say
No,
you?
definitely not. And I could totally see why these. I looked at the list.
Yep.
These cities here, like you said, have phenomenal barbecue. Like if I lived there versus like a place that would have like quinoa and kale all the time, I would absolutely belong to the
because this is the point I think she's making, Walling. The places that are living the lifestyle that would give you those 3 extra years of longevity, you actually don't want the years.
No, you're miserable.
You know what I mean? Bottom line, and we know this, okay? If you have to choose between America and Murica, the better time is being had in Murica.
Totally.
We all know that. Corinne, I mean, honestly, you're liberal and that's fine.
Yeah.
But if you were partying, you probably want to party with Murica.
No, I love it. I love visiting the South on tour. I've eaten macaroni and cheese with my hands when I can't get us out. Like, yeah, it's more fun.
That didn't make Victoria's Secret.
That's a hot page in the catalog when you go from OnlyFans to OnlyFoods. Like, the next page. I love this so much. The one thing I come back to when it's health, because everybody's like, they talk about exercise and walking and everything like that. I think, no, for real.
I think you're talking about it against taro and crystals.
What's this gym rat?
Because this is what I come back to, okay? I know a lot of people with bad habits who lived a long time because they were happy.
Yes.
Okay, and we all know this person, or you've heard the sad story where someone has smoked till they were 93. Never had an issue. They quit on their 94th birthday and died before their 95th.
Yeah.
And it's usually because like your body gets used to doing things a certain way, and at some point you're not supposed to change the routine. This is also how I got fired as a life coach. My second job as a nutritionist didn't quite work out. What is the one habit you wouldn't give up that people consider unhealthy?
Oh gosh.
Don't say me, Jenny. That is awkward as hell. What is it? You like diet soda, but that's healthy?
No, it's not healthy.
You don't think
that would be it. Yeah.
Really?
No, it's terrible for you. But
have you ever heard the Trump line? Now you look great. Do not think I'm disparaging you for a second. I mean that. You know the Trump line when he goes, "I've never seen anybody skinny drinking Diet Coke." But it's funny because he drinks Diet Coke.
He had a button on his desk.
Yeah, remember that? I love that. No, that was back before they had real Coke in the White House. Dear guy. There it is.
Baggy, for God's sake.
What is the one habit you wouldn't want to get rid of?
Going on Fox News as a Democrat. That has changed my life considerably. This gray hair, only started 4 or 5 years ago.
Corinne, is there one habit you wouldn't let get torn out of your macaroni and cheese hands?
I mean, mine was going to be Diet Coke, but I guess now it's fast food. Like I love fast food. I eat it like once a week.
Yeah.
Easily.
Well, one thing that will slow that down is it's now $38.50 a burger thanks to the minimum wage law. So figure every 10 days. Great stuff. All right, panel.
Good evening. A shooting early today has left a man dead in a Brampton neighborhood shaken.
Police believe the shooting was targeted, but say it's too early to know if victim was the intended target. CTV's Janice Golding reports.
Police tape encircling the crime scene flutters in the wind. So too does a tarp covering the body of a man, a 30-year-old who came to rest on his front stoop after being shot multiple times outside a Brampton home.
We're just scared, terrified, We don't know what happened, and we've been looking outside our window, but we don't have a clue what's happening here, so it's sort of overwhelming.
The shots rang out at around 8:30 a.m. on Sudeley Lane near Wanless Drive and Mississauga Road in the midst of the morning rush.
Could have been somebody right there. My son was just getting out of the house, and I asked him on the phone, did you see anything? He said he saw the ambulance, and that's about it. And he just ran to the bus.
A concerning, unacceptable, and brazen daylight shooting, say police.
We know all too well from past incidents that bullets don't always go where they are intended. There were people in the vicinity, folks that called into 911 to report the shooting. Inherently, they are in danger just by being present when gunfire takes place.
Investigators say patrol officers and EMS performed life-saving measures on the victim to no avail. He was pronounced dead at the scene.
I don't think we're safe here right now. One comes to my mind is scared, like having a baby, going to the park, living in this neighborhood. It will be a little scary for people like us.
The victim does not live in the home, but is familiar to the residents, say police.
And we don't believe that this is a random shooting. Whether or not the victim is the intended target, that will come out in the forthcoming investigation.
This morning, police released this image of the suspect vehicle in this case, a stolen red four-door 2020 Honda Civic with gold trim and handles. A yellow racing strap can be seen on the right front bumper.
It's not uncommon that vehicles are stolen to use in the commission of an offense, but that will be as part of the main investigation.
And by mid-afternoon, that vehicle was spotted, able to locate and seize the car without incident.
Holding reporting from Brampton.
Tonight, shaken up, an earthquake rattles nerves in New York City and beyond. Tremors felt by millions, but leaving little damage.
My desk started shaking. I was like, this ain't normal.
The ripple effect from Philadelphia to Boston. Israel outlines military errors that left 7 aid workers dead, including a Canadian.
He's gone, still doing what he loved to do.
Also exclusive details on a new lawsuit after a Canadian airline crew was detained for 8 months.
I need answers. I need to find out what happened, what went wrong.
You never know what your actions will do.
Plus, a life-saving legacy 6 years after the Humboldt bus crash. And total eclipse tourists.
We're about to have the biggest crowd in Niagara Falls history.
Getting ready for visitors seeking out the best views.
CTV National News with Heather Butts.
Good evening. Millions of Americans are on alert for aftershocks tonight after a 4.8 magnitude earthquake rattled much of the eastern seaboard. The quake struck right between New York City and Philadelphia, the strongest in the region in more than a century. The earth cam from the top of the Statue of Liberty capturing the moment. Skyscrapers shaking, some homes were evacuated. Crews tonight inspecting bridges, rail lines, and tunnels. It was felt by people from Maryland to New Brunswick. CTV's Andrew Johnson starts us off.
In a region that rarely feels the earth tremble, a Friday morning quake put a scare into people and their pets.
What the hell? I'm having an earthquake. Oh.
The shaking interrupting everything from streaming.
Yo, is this an earthquake?
To getting some sleep.
I was laying down. My desk started shaking. I was like, this ain't normal.
Neither was today's meeting of the UN Security Council.
Earthquake? Some earthquake?
Yeah, you're making the ground shake.
At the ballpark in the Bronx, it hit during batting practice before the Blue Jays went on to beat the Yankees.
It was felt by millions of people across eastern North America, from south of Washington, D.C. to New Brunswick and southern Quebec and southern Ontario.
Seismologists say the earthquake centered in New Jersey was felt so far away because of what's beneath.
It's very hard rock. It's old rock. It's very stable.
Tonight, Israel's isolation grows after 6 months of war. Gaza now in ruins, Hamas still standing. Israel, initially united against the unprecedented terrorist attack, now turning on itself. And more at odds with its closest ally, with the risk of a wider war as great as ever.
I'm Holly Williams in Tel Aviv. There are fears here in Israel that Iran could retaliate after an airstrike killed members of its Revolutionary Guard.
Also tonight, increasing political pressure to ban weapons sales to Israel. Plus, new aftershocks rattle New Jersey and New York.
I'm Michael George in New Jersey with questions being raised about late emergency earthquake alerts.
And later, an electrifying ride in one of the world's most beautiful machines. Our Charlie Takeda behind the wheel.
Can't hear you good.
Wow.
This is the CBS Weekend News from Washington with Adriana Diaz.
Good evening. Adriana is off. I'm Major Garrett. The Middle East, no stranger to conflict and simmering rivalries, is especially tense tonight. Israelis are on alert after American intelligence officials cautioned that Iran is planning to return fire in retaliation for a deadly Israeli strike in Damascus, Syria. This anxiety did not deter thousands of protesters from marching on the streets of Tel Aviv and other Israeli cities tonight, 6 months after the Hamas attack. There is, however, a tiny glimmer of good news. Hamas representatives said they will go to Cairo tomorrow for ceasefire and hostage release talks that will also significantly be attended by an Israeli delegation and CIA Director William Burns. CBS's Holly Williams leads us off tonight from Tel Aviv.
At a funeral on Friday for 7 members of the Revolutionary Guards killed in a suspected Israeli airstrike, Iran vowed to take revenge. And that's fueling fears that the Israel-Hamas war could widen into a regional conflict.
Tonight, across Israel, there are protests against the government. Many here are demanding the country's leaders do more to bring the remaining hostages home. Around 130 are thought to be in Gaza, though some of them are believed dead. The body of one of them, Elad Katzir, was captured by Israel's military in an overnight raid. He was kidnapped from his home in Kibbutz Nir Oz on October 7th, appeared in 2 hostage videos, and was murdered by militants in January, according to an Israeli military official. He could have been saved if there had been a deal on time, his sister posted on social media, but our leadership is cowardly. An internal investigation was released on Friday into how Israel's military killed 7 World Central Kitchen aid workers in Gaza with drone strikes. The soldiers mistakenly believed Hamas militants were inside one of the group's vehicles, according to the report, after misidentifying an aid worker likely carrying a bag as a militant with a gun.
This is a tragedy. It was a terrible chain of errors and should never have happened. The IDF takes full responsibility for this regrettable loss of life.
In a phone call Thursday, President Biden warned Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu that U.S. policy on Gaza will depend on Israel taking steps to reduce civilian harm.
As Israel pursues any military operations against Hamas, it has to prioritize the protection of civilians. It has to make that job number one.
Shortly after that phone call, Israel announced it would increase aid deliveries to Gaza, including through the Erez crossing. Major, that's the main checkpoint into northern Gaza, attacked by Hamas on October 7th and closed since the beginning of the war.
Holly Williams, thank you. Tonight there is mounting scrutiny of the billions of dollars in U.S. military aid to Israel, including weapons used in Gaza. CBS's Natalie Brand joins us from the White House. Natalie.
Good evening, Major. We heard the president make some of his sharpest criticism yet this week, saying Israel has not done enough to protect civilians. But that has not stopped weapons transfers from the U.S. to Israel, although some lawmakers call this week a possible turning point.
A new letter signed by nearly 40 Democratic Congress members, including former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, urges the administration to reconsider its recent decision to authorize a transfer of a new arms package to Israel and to withhold future offensive arms transfers until a full investigation is completed. They're talking about billions of dollars in weapons, including fighter jets and 2,000-pound bombs approved long before the Israel-Hamas war, but the transfer occurred late last month despite the administration expressing outrage over civilian casualties in Gaza. The Congress members also voiced concern over reports the administration is considering authorizing another $18 billion arms transfer, including F-15 fighter jets.
Now, despite this letter, the White House is reiterating tonight that Israel faces active threats throughout the region, including from Iran, and says the U.S. still has an ironclad commitment to help Israel with its self-defense. Major?
Natalie, as you know, this has become a political issue for the president's re-election campaign, but as we understand it, new numbers out today show a strong fundraising track record.
The Biden campaign and DNC says that they raised more than $90 million in March, bringing its total cash on hand to around $192 million. That's more than double what the Trump campaign and RNC report. CBS News has learned, though, tonight that a Palm Beach fundraiser with billionaire GOP donors is expected or aiming to raise around $50 million. Major?
Natalie Brand joining us from the White House. Thank you. Today, aftershocks were felt in parts of New Jersey and New York. The tremors followed an earthquake that hit the Northeast Friday, rattling nerves but not doing much damage. CBS's Michael George joins us for more. Michael?
Major, good evening. Today, people in New Jersey and beyond felt an aftershock centered in Gladstone. That's about 40 miles from here. And seismologists say those aftershocks could happen for days following that magnitude 4.8 earthquake that shook up the region. One of the largest earthquakes to ever hit the Northeast. More than 40 million people rattled by Friday's earthquake, centered in Reddington, New Jersey.
It sounded like 10 freight trains going at the same time.
It was felt from the Statue of Liberty in New York Harbor as far away as Washington, D.C. and Maine. A handful of homes were damaged in Newark, but there were no injuries or deaths, and no major damage to bridges, tunnels, or buildings. But there are growing questions about the speed of New York City's response. A phone emergency alert was sent about 25 minutes after the quake was over.
20 minutes is very, very fast for a public notification.
In California, where quakes are common, alerts can happen as quickly as 10 seconds before an earthquake. One New York business took advantage of the situation, just hours after the quake, selling t-shirts reading, "I survived the New York City earthquake."
She created it very, very quickly, and we got it printed and just thought it was awesome.
Now, experts at Columbia University say this was the strongest earthquake to hit the New York City metro area since 1884. Major?
There's always a t-shirt. Michael George, thank you. Bettors placed wagers on that game like never before. Elise Preston has more on this high-stakes play. Elise?
Hey, Major, last night's Iowa versus Connecticut women's Final Four matchup was the single biggest women's betting event of all time, according to FanDuel. Now, this year's Final Four for the women's is up 323% compared to last year.
Place your bets. Americans will legally wager nearly $3 billion during this year's March Madness.
With people like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese being household names, betting interest has exploded in the women's tournament.
6 years ago, sports betting was illegal until the Supreme Court struck down a federal ban in 2018. Now it's big business. 38 states and the District of Columbia allow gambling on games.
BetMGM is for everyone that loves sports betting.
NBA and NHL viewers are exposed to 3 gambling ads a minute, a recent study found. Even ESPN is betting its business on the action.
It's truly impossible to be a sports fan now and not be inundated with appeals to gamble.
That's causing other problems. LA Dodger superstar Shohei Ohtani is mired in a scandal after his former interpreter allegedly stole millions to pay for bets.
Why is it such a nightmare for the betting industry as a whole?
Anytime the integrity of the sport comes into question, there's a real worry that maybe we've unleashed a beast.
Now, here in California, betting is not allowed. The American Gambling Association says betting ads help guide people from illegal to legal markets, but critics say advertising convinces more people to gamble. Major?
Elise Preston, thank you. Here's a question. Who wants to be a billionaire? Anyone? Anyone? Here's why I ask. 40 consecutive drawings over 3 months have produced no Powerball jackpot winner, so tonight's jackpot has grown to an estimated $1.3 billion. On Monday, a rare solar eclipse will cross North America. Millions of us are expected to gaze in the sky and take it all in. Hundreds of cities and smaller towns in 15 states lie along what is called the path of totality. The event has also given, as you might imagine, an astronomical boost to many businesses, including a small Tennessee company visited by our Janet Shamlian.
Inside this Memphis area plant, they're planning for outside. What's made here will be worn by tens of millions across the country as they gaze skyward Monday, eclipse glasses.
Describe what the past few weeks have been like.
It's been amazing. We are making so many eclipse glasses, and now we're just trying to get them out the door.
John Jarrett runs American Paper Optics, the nation's largest producer of eclipse glasses.
So to make a pair of paper glasses, 3D glasses, or eclipse glasses, it's a 5-step process.
With as many as 15 states in the path of totality, workers here will crank out close to 75 million pair.
For this company, they can't produce glasses fast enough. There are 300,000 right here on these pallets. They'll be out the door in 24 hours.
Manufacturing is a combination of individual assembly and high-tech machines. Custom orders come from businesses, colleges, and hospitals like St. Jude's. The Ross Perot Museum ordered more than 1 million, but there are small batches too.
This one we're doing for a wedding.
Okay, what about this one though?
Wait a second. That's hilarious. Wait, that's you. That's great. I didn't know those were up there.
The silver black polymer film of eclipse glasses is 1,000 times stronger than even the darkest sunglasses. NASA says it's never safe to look directly into the sun, even when partly covered.
That one's going to New Orleans, and this one's going to New Jersey.
The race is on now to get the last orders out, ahead of a truly astronomical moment.
This eclipse is going to be like 30 Super Bowls all wrapped in one. It's actually going to be the most bipartisan moment we're going to have in 2024. And I think the most important thing is to live in the moment. Put your phone down.
And look up at a phenomenon for the ages. Janet Shamlian, CBS News, Bartlett, Tennessee.
With our special glasses at the ready, we will have live special coverage of Monday's total eclipse beginning at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, right here on CBS and streaming on Paramount+. Coming up on the CBS Weekend News, thumbs up from American astronaut Laurel O'Hara. Details on her return to Earth. And up next, a California doctor who made it his mission to help those most impacted by the war in Gaza. This is the final weekend of Ramadan, and an American doctor is now back from Gaza after witnessing the unspeakable, seeing children die. CBS's MTS Taib says for him, peace cannot come soon enough.
For Dr. Mohammed Saber, family and faith are everything. The 39-year-old emergency physician is back home after spending 5 weeks inside Gaza.
There's nothing logical about anything there.
Treating some of the youngest victims.
When I saw that 10-year-old take his last breath, all I could think about was, I'm still breathing. How come I get to still breathe?
As he gathers around the dinner table with his family in Northern California to break his fast for the Islamic holy month of Ramadan.
So different having iftar here.
His thoughts are never far from those he left behind.
People can barely find food to eat to break their fast. I just entered Gaza through the Rafah crossing.
While in Gaza, Saber kept a daily diary of his time on the ground.
It's almost like a zombie apocalypse movie.
What he saw was so horrific, it defies belief.
I've never seen so many children killed in my entire career. These are things that you would never imagine even in the worst horror movie.
Many of the over 200 emergency room patients Saber saw every day were kids. Their wounds from Israel's attacks so serious and medical resources so scarce, he had to donate his own blood over and over again.
One of the basic things that we take for granted here is Tylenol, ibuprofen for fever control, pain control. We did not have that.
Another harrowing reality was the number of patients who had just been dug out from the rubble.
It's as if they've entered a different realm, a different world.
A generation forever scarred by a conflict that many are too young to even understand.
They came to me with this glazed look of terror. What impact does that have on them for years to come?
Saber hopes to return to meet, once again, the children he not only helped save, but tried to give hope to.
I would love to see them live with the freedom to be able to do everything that we're able to do. Every human being deserves that.
MTS Time, CBS News, London.
Still ahead on the CBS Weekend News, mission accomplished. An American astronaut returns to Earth on a Russian ride. Today, touchdown in Kazakhstan. A parachute softened the landing of a Russian Soyuz capsule carrying 3 crew members from the International Space Station. Among those returning to Earth, American astronaut Laurel O'Hara.
And a good view of Laurel O'Hara with a thumbs up. Each of the crew members being presented with a Matryoshka doll, the stacking dolls that bear the resemblance of each crew member.
It was O'Hara's first mission in space. In all, she traveled 86 million miles orbiting Earth. Coming up on CBS Weekend News, gas-powered since its debut, this classic is now purring with a different type of power. We end tonight with a ride in one of the world's most beautiful machines, built in the 20th century, powered by the 21st. Here is CBS's Charlie D'Agata.
This, ladies and gentlemen, is a 1960s E-Type Jaguar. And yet it is on the cutting edge of automotive technology.
Looks like the original car. It is the original car, just got a different engine, that's it.
Steve Drummond is the co-founder of Electrogenic, taking classic cars of the past back to the future.
This is our electric motor?
By replacing the old combustion engines with new electric motors.
What we're now doing is we're packaging that tech into sophisticated drop-in sort of plug-and-play kits so that they can be installed by our agents around the world.
Including the US. The kits start at roughly $30,000, not including installation. Drummond says not only has the technology moved on, so have the times and the market.
The bigger growing category is the 30 to 55. They've always wanted a classic car, but don't have the time or the skills to actually keep it on the road. So it's a sort of perfect marriage for them.
Of course, it's far cleaner and takes a fraction of what it costs to run a gas guzzler. But how does this electric motor compare to the real thing? Okay, here we go. Like most electric cars, the acceleration is immediate. In fact, 0 to 60 in this electric Jag outperforms the original. The motor revs through the gears like a traditional engine, so you still get that sporty feeling of the car, including an identical top speed of 150 miles an hour. But there is the 350 horsepower elephant in the room. For classic car purists, nothing can match the sound and smell of the real thing. The era of the real thing may be coming to an end. In tomorrow's brave new world, electric classics may be the only road ahead. Charlie Gaggett, CBS News, near Oxford, England.
That's the news for this Saturday. Tomorrow on Face the Nation, Margaret Brennan's guests include Maryland Governor Wes Moore and National Security Council spokesman John Kirby. And join me every week for my podcast, The Takeout. Politics, policy, and just a little bit of pop culture. It's available wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Major Garrett in Washington.
Tonight, several developing stories as we come on the air. Multiple weather threats, including severe storms and possible wildfires. More aftershocks after that rare earthquake in the Northeast. And the CDC alert about bird flu after a farm worker was infected. First, that dangerous weather, a high-impact system now moving through the center of the country. More than a dozen states under weather alerts, snow in the mountains, and the critical fire risk that millions face. How this could impact those who want to see Monday's solar eclipse. Our weather team timing it out. Aftershocks rattle the Northeast. More than 2 dozen reported after that magnitude 4.8 quake that was felt by 42 million people. Engineers scouring buildings looking for possible damage. Israeli troops recover the body of a hostage taken during the Hamas attack last October. Protesters turning up the pressure on the Netanyahu government to bring the remaining hostages home. Martha Raddatz with Chef Jose Andres, his first interview since the Israeli military report on how 7 of his charity's aid workers were killed. The health alert issued across the U.S., the CDC telling health departments to be on alert for bird flu after a farm worker caught that flu from an animal. Production halted at a major egg supplier after bird flu was found in the chickens. We examine the risk to humans. Countdown to the eclipse expected to be the most visible and longest lasting in 100 years. The best locations to see it, and the economic boom with hotels all booked up in the path of totality. Some looking to change their reservations to beat the weather. Plus the massive detergent recall. Millions of laundry pods taken off store shelves because of a packaging defect that could put young children at risk.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us on this Saturday. I'm Wade Johnson. We're tracking a powerful cross-country storm threatening the nation's heartland. More than 30 million people in more than a dozen states are on alert, including dangerous wind across a large swath of the central U.S. Gusts up to 60 miles per hour in dry conditions, leading to an extreme fire risk for parts of Colorado, Kansas, and Oklahoma. These images from Pueblo, Colorado. Northern New England still feeling the impact of the last cross-country storm. Crews working to restore power to tens of thousands. Trees coming down in Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont. This one nearly hitting a police cruiser in Sanford, Maine, in this week's major storm. And tonight, with 2 days to go before the total solar eclipse, there are concerns about the weather in the path of totality. Meteorologist Danny Beckstrom from our station WABC here in New York is leading us off. And Danny, take us through the timing on all of this.
Wait, this is a large, potent, and powerful storm system, bringing significant weather impacts, dangerous weather impacts to so many this weekend. Just look at the number of active weather alerts stretching across more than a dozen states. High wind warnings from Amarillo, Texas to Denver, with wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour. Now up that to 80 miles per hour wind in the mountains. Extreme wind and extremely dry air mean critical fire danger from Texas up through the Dakotas. This storm system is a slow mover, which keeps the threat in play all weekend long. While there could be a few severe storms in the plains tonight, the bigger concern unfolds on Monday, with large hail being the main threat for the crowds of people traveling home after the eclipse. Here's a look at that eclipse forecast. Those storms likely keeping clouds in play along the path of totality in Texas and much of the south, with better viewing conditions from Illinois to Indiana and New England.
Millions hoping for some clearing skies. All right, Danny Beckstrom, thank you. We appreciate it. Here in the Northeast, millions are on alert for aftershocks following that rare 4.8 magnitude earthquake. More than 2 dozen so far, including several today. The quake, the strongest in the region in nearly 140 years. 42 million Americans could feel the shaking from Maryland up to Maine. And tonight, officials still assessing the impact. ABC's Morgan Norwood here in New York City.
Tonight, millions of Americans across the Northeast on alert for potential aftershocks after that rare 4.8 magnitude earthquake that rattled the region. At least 7 aftershocks today, including a 2.5 magnitude shake in Gladstone, New Jersey, less than 5 miles from yesterday's epicenter. There have been more than 2 dozen aftershocks since the earthquake struck yesterday morning, the strongest quake in the tri-state area in nearly 140 years. This live stream from an earth cam showing the Manhattan skyline trembling as the quake rolled through. 42 million people from Baltimore, Boston, and beyond felt the ground shake.
I felt scared, and I was so surprised I couldn't believe that there was an earthquake in New York City.
Though rare, experts say earthquakes on the East Coast tend to be felt at greater distances than those on the West due to harder ground density and older bedrock, which formed hundreds of millions of years before those in the West. In this map, you can see a 5.8 magnitude earthquake that struck Mineral, Virginia in 2011. It was felt up to 600 miles from its epicenter. By comparison, a 6.0 magnitude earthquake that struck Napa, California in 2014 was felt only 250 miles from its epicenter, even as that earthquake released more energy. Tonight, most of the Northeast region avoiding major damage. Families in Newark, New Jersey allowed to return home after officials evacuated 25 residents from their apartment building after it shifted during the quake. Those residents told Today their homes are safe. And during an earthquake, experts say do not run outdoors. Stay inside and remember these 3 things. Drop, cover, and hold on. Find a table and protect your head. If you're driving, stop safely, but stay away from any overpasses or trees. Finally, if you're outdoors, stay there, but move to an open area.
Important tips to remember. All right, Morgan, thank you. Overseas. Now, in the Israel-Hamas war, tonight growing calls for a hostage deal and ceasefire. Thousands taking to the streets of Tel Aviv and across Israel. The protests coming after news that another body has been recovered of a hostage taken on October 7th, and the reaction from those who knew him. ABC's Britt Clennett in Tel Aviv tonight.
Tonight, the Israeli military saying a team of commandos has recovered the body of a hostage taken during the October 7th attack, nearly 6 months to the day after his abduction. 47-year-old farmer Elad Katzir. Israeli officials say he was killed by Islamic Jihad. At least 36 hostages taken captive, now confirmed dead. Nearly 100 still believed to be in captivity. Katzir's loved ones among the thousands of demonstrators in Tel Aviv tonight protesting the Israeli government. Ayala Metzger is a family friend of the Katzirs. Her father-in-law was also taken hostage from kibbutz near Oz on October 7th.
What was your reaction when you heard that Elad had been brought home? His body brought home?
I started to cry. I don't know what to do. I know Elad when he was a young teenager.
The discovery further ratcheting up pressure on Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government to negotiate a hostage deal. Ceasefire negotiations set to resume in Egypt tomorrow after a tense Thursday call in which President Biden warned Netanyahu the US could withdraw support for Israel if it doesn't do more to protect civilians in Gaza. The negotiations come as Israel faces international condemnation for that airstrike that killed 7 aid workers traveling in a clearly marked World Central Kitchen convoy who had coordinated their movements with the IDF. With famine in Gaza looming, humanitarian workers say it's critical they have the ability to deliver aid safely.
To scale up, to avert famine so that people don't have to die because they don't have food, we need security guarantees.
With late today, a top Iranian military official again warned that Iran would launch a retaliatory operation against Israel after a strike in Syria killed 7 Revolutionary Guard members, including a top commander. Iran's Joint Chief of Staff today promising to make Israel, quote, regret what it did.
Britt, thank you. And ABC's This Week co-anchor Martha Raddatz today speaking exclusively to World Central Kitchen's chef Jose Andres, whose charity lost 7 aid workers in that Israeli attack. Andres is calling for an independent investigation into Israel's actions.
They say that their drone video, and this has not been verified, this video, that they say shows Hamas operatives and they thought one fired from an aid truck.
Every time something happens, we cannot just be bringing Hamas into the equation. This is not anymore about the 7 men and women of World Central Kitchen that perished on this unfortunate event. This is happening for too long. It's been 6 months of targeting anything that seems moves. This doesn't seem a war against terror. This doesn't seem anymore a war about defending Israel. This really, at this point, seems it's a war against humanity itself.
Strong words from Chef Andres. You can see more of Martha's exclusive interview with Jose Andres tomorrow morning on This Week. Tonight, the CDC with an urgent alert telling healthcare providers to be on the lookout for possible cases of bird flu. That's if they encounter sick patients who recently had contact with birds or livestock. 1 human case reported so far this year in the U.S., but officials say the risk to the public remains low. Here's ABC's M. Wynn.
Tonight, the CDC warning healthcare workers and the general public about bird flu after a person in Texas tested positive this week in what is believed to be the first cattle-to-human transmission.
This avian flu has now shown up in cows for the first time and has now infected a farm worker. But overall, the risk to the public currently is low.
The virus, also known as H5N1, has been discovered in livestock across 6 states since March and in birds across 8 states in the past 30 days, according to the Department of Agriculture. Calamine Foods, the nation's largest supplier of eggs behind major brands like Eggland's Best, halting production and killing about 2 million chickens to prevent the illness from spreading.
There is no risk to those that are consuming dairy and meat products.
Officials stress only 2 cases have ever been discovered in humans in the U.S. The CDC says symptoms include eye redness, cough, sore throat and fever, even difficulty breathing, confusion, or seizures.
What we've seen before has not spread from human to human, and it is possible that this virus could change at some point in the future, and that's why we want to stay ahead of it.
M. Wynn joining us now from Washington. So, M, what should consumers keep in mind for their egg and poultry products?
Yeah, Whit. So for now, the CDC says that the people out there should be avoiding actually consuming any undercooked foods or raw milk products. Health officials also say for eggs, go ahead and continue to buy and go ahead and continue to eat these products because the risk of bird flu continues to stay excessively low and the cooking process actually kills the virus. Whit.
All right, Em, thank you. Excitement is building for Monday's total solar eclipse. The path of totality stretching from Texas to Maine, and places outside of totality, like New York City, will still experience a partial view. Some schools giving kids time off so they too can watch this rare cosmic event. Here's ABC's Jacqueline Lee.
Tonight, with just 2 days to go until the eclipse, Americans are over the moon.
I have been looking forward to this for months. I am an eclipse chaser.
The total solar eclipse on Monday spanning the U.S. from Texas to as far north as Maine. More than 31 million Americans who live in the path of totality, when the moon completely covers the sun, will descend into darkness.
Honestly, being in totality is indescribable.
Hotel bookings surging. Businesses in Niagara Falls say they're getting calls from people all over the country, desperately chasing one of the best views, the most visible and longest-lasting eclipse in a century, experts say.
Wherever they were planning to go for totality, now the weather isn't looking that great, and our weather is looking a little bit better.
Taria White's 6-year-old daughter Charlotte was born during the 2017 eclipse. Together, they are traveling to experience this one.
There's something very special and rare to be born, especially at the exact time that the eclipse has happened. It's going to be something that she'll remember for the rest of her life.
when eye doctors say there are fake glasses out there, they say you do not want to buy them online. You only want to buy them from authorized retailers. There is a list on the American Astronomical Society website. Whit.
All right, can't wait, Jacqueline. Thank you. And I'll be out there joining David as he leads our unprecedented live coverage of the total solar eclipse, joined by Robin Roberts, Lindsay Davis, and the entire team, beginning at 2 Eastern, right here on ABC. Next year tonight, dive team searching for the remaining victims of the Key Bridge collapse in Baltimore, recovering a third body. 38-year-old Maynor Suazo Sandoval was part of a construction crew on the bridge when it collapsed. And tonight, Baltimore's major sports teams, the Ravens and the Orioles, announcing they're donating $5 million each to a fund providing support to those impacted by the disaster. There is still much more ahead on World News Tonight this Saturday. A fight at a bar turns deadly. Multiple victims shot near Miami. And why millions of laundry detergent pods are being recalled. Stay with us. Next tonight, a deadly shootout in South Florida. A total of 9 people were shot. Police say this happened overnight outside a bar at a shopping mall in Doral. A security guard was shot and killed. 2 police officers responded and exchanged gunfire with one suspect who was also killed. One of the officers was hit, as were 6 bystanders. All of them are in stable condition. Still had a major recall of laundry detergent pods. A defect could put young children at risk. To the index now, and a major recall tonight. Procter & Gamble recalling more than 8 million bags of popular laundry detergent pods. Bags of Tide Pods, Gain Flings, Ace Pods, and Ariel Flings. Officials say the outer packaging can split open, posing a risk of serious injury to children and vulnerable populations. Thanks so much for watching tonight. I'm Whit Johnson in New York. Hope to see you tomorrow morning on GMA. Have a great night.
Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir, America's most watched newscast.
Thank you for watching and privilege of your time. This is Amir Shakil 5858. I am Amir Woodman. Have a good life.